So after I posted my video of a shower that almost went really bad, since then a couple of people have made a comment that they want to see how I rectified the plumbing. As I said on the first part of the video, all they had to do was cut back that pipe. Once they cut back that pipe, you have two parts of the P-trap, and that gets glued in. It's not glued in yet because I need to adjust it to be center. And right now, it looks like it's right on center actually. Probably just a tad off to this direction. We'll get it center. And you can adjust it. And if I had to, I could put a connector or 2-inch connector on there, cut off a little piece of pipe, and have that female end slide right into that extra piece of pipe to get it where I want it. But it's all adjustable. I'll end up putting a pipe strap up under here, and the only way I'm going to be able to do that is I'm going to have to kind of backwards engineer a couple of 2x4s. So I'll put a 2x4. Move your hand, Bob. I'll put a 2x4 right here and a 2x4 right here. Nail it or screw it down from the top, so that I'll have two separate areas where I can screw into without actually going through the floor. So that I have, right now it's just kind of hanging there, and so that I have the proper anchoring. We have two types of pipe strap. One is plastic, which I would have preferred, but this is the end of the roll. And then I have some of this metal pipe strap, so I'll end up using this. And that's how that's done. So for those of you that want, oh, by the way, this is the configuration that we had before. Yeah, I couldn't get a straight cut because I was upside down and backwards and all that stuff. So, but I ended up cutting it straight afterward. I sheared off actually about another inch. Got that straight. So this is all totally unnecessary to do all of this stuff. The way it was set, if you recall, was like that, and they actually had a piece of foam. There it is, expanding foam, sitting on top of the ductwork in order to anchor that up, or to hold it up, as it were. Wrong. That's why I mentioned the pipe strap, because they didn't really have too much of a clue on what to do. Neither did they with regard to the curb. If you remember, there was a couple of pressure treated 2x4s, which never match up, by the way. I didn't mention that on the first video, but pressure treated 2x4 expands out when they inject the chemicals in there. So it's maybe not even quite a quarter of an inch. Well, maybe it is a quarter of an inch larger than a normal piece of pine. Plus, they had a gap here. So I just put 3 normal pine 2x4s. This side I can't really deal with because we have this wall. I'd have to dismantle that. But in order for this wood not to twist later on, it was more important to replace that, because I didn't want the tile that I'm sitting on here to start popping up if this would ever twist. But to kind of mitigate that on here, you can see I just slammed a whole bunch of 3.5 inch nails on both sides. Bam, 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 bam. And by the way, here too, you saw how few there was. So there's that. Customer wanted a niche, a double niche. So eventually there'll be, I think this will go up about 12 inches here, and about an extra 9 or 10 inches toward the top. So there's going to be either an extra piece of tile sitting on top of there, or a piece of glass. I think I'd mentioned the glass where you can have 2 little holders on both sides and just kind of set the glass floating on top of their tempered glass, as it were. So that's kind of ready to go. I usually have the niche on the back wall, but I'm not doing it here. A lot of 2x4s. Oh, and by the way, speaking of 2x4s, eventually I'm going to cut a little bit more out of here, get a straight line, throw this away, put another piece of 3/4 inch ply on top of that, and then I'll cut my hole and adjust it accordingly once I've centered up the drain, because it's going to be center now. That's the point. It's going to be center both ways, actually, as much as it can be. The scabbing that I was telling you about when I first started the other video, the 2x6 scabbing that goes in between the studs, is almost done. I ran out of 2x6 because I had to build a bench out of 2x6, so that kind of ate up all the 2x6 that I brought, but I'll get some tomorrow. So I've got one little area here and an area here. I may or may not do this area because we're already up 4.5 inches. I might do that. I might just put some 2x4 sideways there. And this is the bench. By the way, I took out, remember that ply that I told you they had linoleum here, and they left it? It wasn't glued. It was stapled. You can still see some of the staples on the floor. So I just tore it out. It was really easy to tear out. And this is the surface that you want when you're putting linoleum down, which is why they had this down here. But I just tore it all out. It took, you know, like 2 or 3 minutes. What I said in my last video was just pure laziness. When you get up to the edge here, you just get a Dremel and you cut off the edge, and then the whole thing comes up. So we got a nice normal floor going on, and all this garbage. They wanted a bench in here, and just for your information, people ask me about benches all the time. I always, my personal preference, I always build my bench outside of the shower. Outside of the shower. So if there's any problem with the shower pan ever, you don't have to dismantle the bench. If there's ever a problem with the bench, you don't have to dismantle the shower pan. So that's just my preference, and it actually will shorten this shower by about 15 inches by almost 4 feet. So now, getting back to the drain area, all I have to do, whatever this distance is to here, get it as much center as I can going that direction, and I'll do that tomorrow. Benches can be built different ways. I want to talk about this a little bit because I do get a lot of questions about it. I started building my benches out of 2x6 a long time ago. It just was easier than 2x4. It's a lot more solid, sturdy, and all that stuff. And it's going to get wrapped with Durarock, as well as everything's going to be red guarded as I normally do. Shower pan liner will go up however much it goes, but you can see how much extra pan liner from the other job that I have left over. So I'll only take it up to about here. I'm not going to wrap it up and around and all that stuff the way I see some people do. As long as you waterproof all this stuff as much as you can, then this is no different than than anything else. People freak out about benches, and yes, they do fail sometimes. Even with a block bench, they do fail. I've pulled out blocks that are saturated with water because they put the block inside of the pan. And there's other ways they can fail, but it's not a matter of what you make your bench out of. It's a matter of how you prep the shower before you put the tile on, is my opinion. And that's it. People had questions about this. Oh, by the way, one other thing before I forget, and I'll probably show it tomorrow. Because there's pipe in here, you really can't get a 2x6 in here. There might be room, I don't know. But if there's not room, then you can actually use some plywood, some 3/4 plywood, and cut it to this size, you know, 5.5, 6 inches, and you can get a finish nailer and kind of toenail it there and toenail it down at the bottom, being careful not to hit the pipe. So that's one way that you can get over not having to notch out. Sometimes I do notch out if there's a pipe really close. Then I'll do a notch on my chop saw, you know, just like, yeah. So anyway, hope some of that information helps you. I know I had some questions on the other video. How did you end up doing the plumbing? If you could show that, blah, 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 blah. And that's it. So tomorrow's another day, and I will get quite a bit done tomorrow, including pouring the shower pan. And then, yeah, I got a couple of days to wait on that before I continue on. I made a little change since yesterday. Well, a couple of things. First of all, I put blocking. I don't know if you can see the strap. So I put blocking from underneath, meaning a short piece of 2x4 that I screwed down with 3-inch screws, both on left and right, and then I was able to get a pipe strap under there from below, which anchors the drain part. I don't have a 45. If I had a 45, I could bend this around and actually get a center. My center line is here, one of them, and then the other one is here. Even if I were to get it center, we have this in the way, so I'm not able to get it center anyway. But it's a lot better than it was, because it used to be over there. This is the primer, and this is the glue that you would use. Then that goes up under there. I'm going to glue that in there, and I'll offset it to where this line is. So I'll pretty much be center right up the way that I was trying to get from the beginning. I'm off of this line by about 3 inches, so it's not quite center from front to back, but you can see it's definitely 9-10 inches from where it was. Just a little extra time, a little bit of finagling to get it right, rather than that configuration they had there sitting on a piece of foam. In fact, the piece of expanding foam is still back there on the bottom. I mean, literally they had, you can see the indentation of the drain. It was sitting like that. It's crazy. So that's it. And then I got another piece of board already pre-cut, and I'm gonna put it on top of there after I do a little scabbing, and some 2x4s will go along here, left and right, nailed down, so that I'll have 4 sides to nail into, and it'll get more than the 4 that were here. A few weeks ago I had posted a video that I'm going to link right up there. I'm going to put a card right up there. You can watch that later. That video had to do with these people hiring the wrong tile guy. Whether or not he's a tile guy, he could not build showers. I showed the mistakes that he made on the subfloor. I showed a couple other mistakes that he made. I'm not going to go into them. Watch the video that I just posted if you want to see that. 2 weeks later, as opposed to the 5-day window he gave, 5 days. There's no way he could build a shower like this in 5 days. The prep alone takes about 4 or 5 days just to do something this intricate. Turned out really good. Took a few weeks to make this happen, but it is finished now, and it is probably a lot better than he could have done. I don't know. You know, he never got to the point, fortunately, to mess this up bad enough to find out, but I anticipate that he probably more than likely could not have gotten it this good. I'm not the best person in the whole world as far as tiling goes, but I'm a lot better than most of the hacks that are out there right now. Anyway, this is a finished job. A couple of grab bars, solidly into wood, the niche, the multi-function shower thingamabob, and, you know, tile floor that's finished. And the outside floor, the wood-like type of tile that they wanted in here is throughout. They wanted this little mosaic thing going as a centerpiece, so it got down center on the wall, back wall as it were. And the tub got a replication of what you just saw in the shower with glass mosaic, and turned out really good. Little bull nose going on here and bull nose going around the top. They didn't want to do the bull nose on the shower specifically, so that's why we ended up doing the trim both on the inside and the outside of the shower, inside and outside, top of the wall. and on this side over here, and it's done. And they probably saved thousands of dollars by getting rid of those guys when they did, which I already mentioned on the video. If you want to go watch that, I'll post it again. Well, you could go back to the beginning of the video and watch it, but yeah. This took me a solid 11 days to finish it start to end, and there's no way it could have been rushed or hyphenated down into 5 days. It wasn't going to happen. So, and again, on that video I explained, if you get into that same type of conundrum where you're kind of like, well, we already hired them, they already have some of our money, we want to let them finish, I'm telling you, don't let them finish, because you would have spent a whole lot more hiring the wrong guy than you would had you spent a little bit more hiring the right guy. And that's it. That's all I have to say. Oh.
That was easy.
Hey, if you enjoyed that video and you learned something, consider being a Patreon member. $5, $10, $15 a month would help me greatly produce more videos. I make nothing from YouTube at all. If you're gonna call me for advice, please donate $50 for 30 minutes. My link to my PayPal and my Patreon account is down below. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get immediate notifications as soon as I post videos. And thank you very much for your support.